Back at Rumble in Redmond, I was talking to Andrew of Team Fuel Ingested, better known as the builder of NoobTube. He asked me if I would be able to make it to the event over in Pullman, to which I replied, "There's an event in Pullman?" Sure enough, the Crimson Robotics team at WSU was holding a competition for primarily beetle weights, but also had brackets for regular and plastic ant weights. I was going to be in the area anyway at the time, so signing up for me was a no-brainer. I had about a month and a half to upgrade my robot Stingray, so I started by designing a new tail that could work as a wedge both ways up. It was 3D printed from TPU and had titanium forks and steel spikes attached to the ends. After it was all put together, it was a little lighter and bendier than I had planned, so I gave it a titanium brace. With that said, there was one other upgrade I had in mind. You see, unlike in Redmond, the arena for Crimson Bot Brawl would have wooden floors, meaning I could use a new secret weapon: cleats.
Cleats?
Made from titanium that was 40 thousandths, the idea was that these could dig into the floor and give me more speed and traction. I was just able to sneak the robot under the weight limit with them on, so Stingray was ready for action. Now, with about a week and a half to go until the tournament, it dawned on me that maybe I'd be able to whip something together for the plastic ant weight class too. My mind went back to an old Tiger BattleBots RC toy I had lying around, which some of you may remember from this video. Apparently, back in the day, these toys could make for decent ant weights if you gave them some modifications. I had already followed a guide to getting the bot working without having a weapon inserted, so a few more changes and I could have a serious contender for the plastic category. After adding foam wheels, a lipo, a servo, a receiver, and a switch, a bit of time soldering saw everything come together and function properly. The problem was that I was really running out of time, so I hurriedly designed and printed the pieces that I needed to finish it. Once everything was screwed together, I had a working robot, but there was still a problem. You see, while the drive used the toy's original receiver and speed controller, and thereby the original remote, the servo was using a new receiver, meaning it was linked to my FlySky i6. I might have been able to rewire the drive to run off the new receiver, but I just didn't have time at that point. So instead of trying to use two transmitters at once, I decided to try and find a second driver. Conveniently, I heard that my younger cousin was planning on spectating the event, so I asked if he wanted to help me compete. He was all for it, and we even got a little bit of driving practice in the night before. Since he was so willing to help me out, I thought it was only fair to let him name the robot, and thus, Flip Flop was born. Though the tournament organizers rotated the brackets throughout the event, I'm just going to focus on one robot at a time for this recap video, starting with Flip Flop. Our first match was against Pitbird, a spring-powered flipper from Team Fuel Ingested.
In 3, 2, 1, fight!
Not the fastest of robots, but that's okay. Got a good lift in there. And I'm trying to fight the radio. It is not very good. Another good lift here, though. Got flipped, but that's what those horns on the forks are for, is to help get us back up. At this point we stopped moving because the radio reception for the toy is just that bad. You can't see me, but I'm mashing on the sticks and just nothing is happening. Get flipped a few times, but nothing too big. And this is where the trouble happens. I did not account for us getting stuck in that position, and we were not able to unstick ourselves, so we got counted out, and we tried to get it back, but yeah, there was nothing we could do from there. Well, that stinks. I guess getting stuck on the forks was my own fault because of how I designed them, but I never remembered the toy's reception being this bad. Oh well, onto the losers bracket. Here we would be facing Mountain Dew Camacho, a fellow lifter.
1, fight!
Okay, we're a bit off camera here, but the radio issues are still very much present for the toy. They seem to be just fine for the lifter, which is good, but the toy receiver was just, oh boy, just missed a lift there. Although in fairness, it seems like maybe the other guy was having some radio issues too. So we just did what we could out of it. Not with much success though, as you can see. Get lifted there, but no big deal. Put on our side, and this is, I was a little confused here because when we get on our side, we're supposed to be able to pretty easily get back, but the wheel, I don't know if it just wasn't turning as fast as normal or what, but we were having some problems here. Not able to get back like we wanted. We were still moving, but not quite the way that we wanted to. At this point, the other guy comes along and helps us out. We get stuck on our head. So it probably should have been over at that point, but they were being good sports, tried to keep us in it. And here we were able to, that's what I was looking for the first time, we were able to self-right, but one of the spacers on the back that helps angle the robot actually got twisted so that it's way too far down, and basically the wheels were not touching the ground anymore. So because of that, you can see right there, it's lower to the ground than the wheels. So we were high-centered on our own spacers, and there was nothing we could do. At this point, we get flipped back onto our head. And I know it's a bit off-screen, but yeah, we were not able to right ourselves from there, and this ended very much in the same way that the last match did. I was disappointed in the robot's performance, especially considering how hard I had worked to get it all up and running. But I guess that's the risk you run when you rush something. More than anything though, I felt bad that I let my cousin down. I hope he gets the chance to go to more events in the future so he can prove just how good he is. So Flip-Flop didn't fare so well. But what about Stingray? Well, my first match was supposed to be against Out of Control, a bristlebot with an awesome video game controller theme. However, that bot ended up having some power issues and needed more time in the pits to sort them out. It was early enough in the bracket, so the event organizers just swapped it out for G-Money, a horizontal spinner. I would have preferred to use my anti-horizontal wedge here, so I asked for a few minutes to swap it out alongside some smaller wheels, but the organizers wanted me up there ASAP. I asked them if they had a backup fight, to which they told me that I was the backup fight. Ultimately, I just went up to the bat with the normal tail and hoped for the best. Okay, whiffed a box rush there. This gave him time to get his weapon up to speed, so I thought I might as well get up to speed too. And here I was able to actually break the mounting for his weapon, so he tapped out, and that was a win. Turns out that tail thing wasn't a problem at all. Bit of a cut in the plastic from that big hit, but otherwise unscathed, so it was easy prep for the next match. This was against Holy Terror, a very well-rounded vert. Though I had the new tail ready in case I was flipped upside down, I decided to stick with the old one for this fight, and save the other one for a match against a proper wedge.
Fight.
Okay, so strategy, go to the middle of the arena, spin up. If he doesn't approach, then maybe approach him. I have to say, I think the cleats were working really well here. I feel like Stingray was able to spin noticeably faster than in Redmond. Of course, still get attacked, but that's what you have to expect. And then right there, I get some more flashbacks to Redmond, where my wheel came off suddenly. But I thought, hey, if I was able to win that match somehow, then maybe I can win this one too. So I'm still trying to drive around, trying to show motion, spin around, maybe get a hit if I'm lucky. Obviously I'm on the back foot, but I had plenty of spares, so I was more than willing to take this to the distance if I needed to. Threw my front spikes into him there. That wasn't great of me, but what are you going to do on one wheel? Trying to spin up there. And take a big hit for it. Everything's still working though. I mean, aside from the obvious. But yeah, still able to show motion, and right here, notice that his wheel falls off. He's able to flip me, but after that his weapon dies for a bit. So I think, hey, you know, I might have the upper hand here. I kinda sorta have a working weapon, and we're both on one wheel, so maybe I can still take this. I was able to get him high centered on the tail there.
Do we need to start our countdown yet? Not yet.
And we're both just kind of hobbling around here, but sooner or later he's able to get that weapon back up to speed. Not that it really makes a difference to me, I'm still in it.
Yeah, I see it too. Alright, we are moving into our 30 seconds.
Get flipped back here, which is actually good for me, but I also noticed that the remaining wheel was sticking out a bit more than it should have been. And, yeah. From that point, there was nothing I could do.
Alright, that is it.
It might have been a loss, but I still think that was a great battle, and made it well worth it. The tail had a couple gouges in it, but nothing serious. The chassis didn't really sustain any damage somehow, but the front spikes were bent way out of shape, so to avoid the possibility of them getting bent more and high-centering the robot, I mostly just took them out. I assumed the wheels had fallen off from hub damage, so I stuck a new pair on and got ready to go. The next match was against Iron Wedge, a much upgraded version of Noob Wedge. I knew he would be out for revenge after Redmond, but this also gave me the perfect chance to test out the new tail.
1, fight.
Okay, so a note about this new tail, it's shorter, so it should in theory have a lower tip speed, but that should also, again in theory, make it easier to control. This was my first time really driving with the new tail, so it's not too different from the old one, but I was getting used to it. So not much happening so far. Got maybe a couple jabs in. And then this happens. And here I start to get a bit frustrated because that was a brand new pair of hubs. And for it to just come off like that, I knew something was up. I kept going though. Got a decent jab in there, and I was still able to spin decently fast for just one wheel. But I was worried that the other one might come off, and sure enough, that's what happened.
Oh. Alright, and we are calling that. That was a tap out from Stingray.
Okay, so clearly the wheels falling off has nothing to do with damage. My best guess is that using the cleats caused vibration on the hubs, which loosened the set screws over time. I had gotten away with just manually tightening those screws so far, but from here on out, Loctite is going to be a necessity. At this point, I was out of the tournament, but what's a robot combat event without a good rumble?
1, fight!
Okay, so a note about my commentary for this match, it's going to be pretty intermittent, because they decided to have it run for 5 minutes instead of 3. You can also notice that we have 3 ant weights, 1 plastic ant, and an SSP kit. But this is all for fun anyway, so no one really minded. We all said the more the merrier. Yeah, here you can see I just got stuck under the wall. You're going to notice that's a reoccurring theme throughout this rumble. Mountain Dew robot being good sport, trying to unstick me.
Oh!
Seems like the wedge works upside down, so hey, at least mission accomplished there.
I like the one pop ball.
Got stuck again there. Iron Wedge trying to help me out.
This is gonna wear down their batteries, so. Yeah. Oh my god, just watching that makes me so dizzy.
Got stuck on the one seam in the arena there.
Yeah, Stingray. It just makes me so dizzy. Yeah, it just drags and flails its weapon. Ooh.
That's essentially what my bot did last year. That's what my bot did.
At this point I was thinking, hey, you know, I really tightened down the set screws before this match, maybe I can get away with just doing that, because from here it had been far more than 3 minutes and they were still on pretty well.
Alright, we're on our last 30 seconds.
Nope, scratch that, definitely going to Loctite.
That's another wheel gone.
I guess if anything, this proved that I picked a big enough battery for the robot, which is good.
Alright, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And like that, it was over. An interesting note here is how the points on the cleats began to bend or break over time. I'll keep using them for now, but once they wear down enough, I'm going to redesign them so that they're wider at the base of the spikes. I don't plan to make any other upgrades to Stingray though. Flip-Flop on the other hand is going to get a lot of new upgrades, including new ESC, receiver, and 3D printed parts that it hopefully won't get stuck on. Once that's done, I'm going to be shifting my attention to designing a new robot. As of now, I don't know what my next event is going to be, so whether I compete with Stingray, Flip-Flop, or this new bot is up in the air. I'll be at another competition sooner or later though.